इंडिया इज अ वेरी रिस्क अवर्स पॉपुलेशन. इंडियंस को आप बोल दो कि आपके पास एक ऑप्शन है 100 रुपए बनाने का, एक ऑप्शन है गारंटीड 40 रुपए बनाने का. वो गारंटीड 40 ही. वी रियलाइज कि कैसा मॉडल बनाते हैं वेयर वी डोंट चार्ज द स्टूडेंट्स फॉर अपस्किलिंग देम. At the same time, give them money, give them salaries.
As someone who hires, as someone who is the founder of two companies, what do you think about AI?
A lot of EdTech startups are facing their downfall nowadays.
Yeah, it's very simple. No? They are not EdTech startups. They're all marketing startups. There are no online academic programs from IITs unless it is Futurense.
Even colleges, they don't expose the students to latest tech.
I did a paid tweet for this one company. The tweet got like 31k likes and
Yes.
2 million views, and I got like 2,000 rupees.
For me, work is bigger than everything else.
In today's episode of the Fueled Unfiltered, we are joined by the amazing Raghav Gupta, who is the CEO and co-founder of Futurense, where he aims to democratize the global tech talent. He is also the co-founder of the 1% Club, where he works with Sharan to help people achieve financial independence. In fact, they've also recently raised 10 crores of funding from Nikhil Kamath. All this at the age of 23. Let's talk to Raghav and find out more.
Hi Raghav, welcome to the Fueled Unfiltered podcast. We are honored to have you here with us today. Before starting with the questions, would you just like to give us a quick intro and basically just let audience know about you?
Firstly, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm loving the work you guys have been doing. So my name is Raghav. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Futurense, as well as the co-founder at the 1% Club. Basically, both these companies are somewhat trying to solve for the aspirations of the new India in their respective manners. Futurense is mainly about the careers around the engineers of this country, specifically about the problems they're facing and trying to create innovative solutions that have never been done before. And the 1% Club is mostly about the money that is being created, the wealth that is being created. How do people manage it? How do they grow it? And in a simple form, how do they build a community of like-minded folks who share the same aspiration and become the new 1% of this country?
Right. So that's where the name comes from.
Yes.
I want to talk more about the 1% Club.
Sure.
I think it's been some 9-10 months that you've joined Sharan as a co-founder. So how has that journey look like? How did you meet Sharan?
Sure.
And you recently also got a funding of 10 crores from Nikhil Kamath?
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Tell
Sure.
us.
So I think I met Sharan at a party. It was a party filled with influencers. There were like only influencers in that party, and at that time I didn't know how big or how famous he was. Obviously, I had seen him on Instagram and all, but I didn't know. And in a party, usually what happens is that mostly people talk about work, especially in these networking mixer kind of parties. So I asked him ki kya chal raha hai, and we started talking about, he talked about my work, I talked about his work. And as I got deeper into the conversation with him, and that night itself, we talked for like 3-4 hours. And next day I called him to my office in Bangalore, and he came and he sat for like 6-7 hours or 5-6 hours or whatever. And that's where I sort of asked him this question that whatever he is doing, education and all is fine, but I asked him, do you think you can become India's biggest banker? And we started laughing about it, because I truly believe that with a product like the 1% Club, or with the audience or the distribution like what Sharan has, I think it can be something much bigger than what people might think it is. And that is where the conversation started happening, the vision, and then him and I started talking, and then we met Nikhil 3-4 times, Nikhil and Abhijit, Nikhil's partner. And yeah, I think with Nikhil also, when we met, it was not about work, it was mostly about how do we think the country is going, like in which direction is the country going. And we realized the power of content, and we realized the power of this new middle class that is emerging with a very high disposable income. And one thing became very clear, that the new middle class has a lot of disposable income, has a lot of money, free money at hand, because they don't live in a joint family. Whatever they're making is for themselves. What that means is that every month they have that extra disposable money that can actually long-term create wealth. And that's how we started talking. And the funding with Nikhil also happened long back in May only. We announced it recently because of some, I think some legalities. But the funding happened long before. And very honestly, we didn't need the funding. We still don't need the money. It is mainly because we needed that wisdom of being close to a person who has truly built for this country and has truly solved one very big financial problem or very big financial aspiration that a lot of Indians faced.
So you basically onboarded Nikhil only for mentorship, not for the money.
So I don't want to use the word onboarded. He's too
Yeah.
big a guy to say we onboarded.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we got involved with him because we truly believe that if we can have little bit of that mind share, that thought process, I think we can truly build in a noble manner.
Were you connected to Nikhil before?
Sharan was connected to Nikhil,
Okay.
and he was not really connected. He had done a podcast with him. Then I told him that let's go to him, let's meet him to see what he can do with us. So then we met, and again it was not about business. It was about everything other than work. And then after meeting a few times, it just came up that let's do something together.
So what do you see happening with the 1% Club going forward?
I personally believe that the 1% Club will solve for two major problems that the people of India are facing per se. First is, how do I grow my existing money, existing wealth? And second, how do I increase my earning? There are only two ways in which you can get richer. Either increase the ROI on the money you have made or increase the money you make, if that makes sense.
Yes, I think that the second thing you're trying to solve that with Futurense.
We're trying to solve that with Futurense, and that's where you will see a lot of cross collaboration between Futurense and the 1% Club that we are doing that very soon. Where this piece, the career piece, will be about how do you increase your skills so that you earn more. And the first piece will be about how do you educate yourself better so that you manage your money, as well as we are working with SEBI in getting a couple of licenses like the RIA, where we'll tell people on how to exactly manage their money. Like, we'll actually manage it for them, sort of like wealth advisory.
Right. So you're solving mainly for the young crowd.
Not really for the young crowd.
At Futurense.
Futurense is predominantly for the age brackets less than 28. But the 1% Club TG is anywhere between 23 to 40.
Right.
Interesting. One thing I want to know is, how do you go about educating people like the community at 1% Club? Like, how do you do it exactly?
There are multiple forms of doing that. First form is that there is a masterclass that Sharan does, which has like 8,000-10,000 people every time come for it. In that masterclass, you give them a very fast sort of summary on what are the important pillars behind like financial independence. Then we have a thing called the academy.
Okay.
In our academy, there are like modules about tax planning, about mutual fund, about like many such things, where we go in details with respect to the intrinsic parts of it, the math behind how do you do it. And then we have this thing called a forum, where people can go and ask questions. And this forum is like always active. Like every day we are having like 4,000 or 5,000 active people on that forum. And then obviously we have events which are curated, focused on certain niche areas. For example, a lot of people are now getting into art investing. So alternate sources of investments. So things like that, we curate these events. So that's what we're doing.
Interesting. I want to jump onto the content creation bit. So I've seen you creating content on multiple social media platforms. You had an interview with Lalan Top as well, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And then you were on Beer Biceps podcast, which is huge in my opinion. I just want to know, what do you perceive content creation is really? And other than that, how important do you think it is? Content creation is for all the young entrepreneurs out there.
I think there's only one word for content creation, that's distribution.
Right.
That's all what it is, right?
Right.
And as a business, as an individual, all we need in our lives is distribution. Because what has happened is that with so much out there, it is very tough to be remembered.
Right.
Very tough to have a recall value, and it is very easy to get lost. But if you create content, it sort of reaffirms the belief, reaffirms what you are trying to say to your audience. So I think it is the need of the hour. There's no option but to create content. I think you guys are also doing that. We are also doing that. And in a simple manner, this is a continuous process. It can never stop. And it's not about how many likes you're getting, how many views you're getting. It's about being out there and being relevant.
How do you think one should stand out out of the crowd while creating content? Like, what sort of content should one create? Yeah,
Again, I'm no expert on it, but
Yeah.
what I personally believe is that be authentic.
right.
Because after a point पता लग जाएगा कि ये script से बोल रहे हो या खुद का you get what I'm
That
saying.
is actually true. So I like shitpost a lot on Twitter.
Yeah,
And there was this one tweet जो मैंने ChatGPT से generate करी थी.
Right.
And everyone identified it like, this is not you.
no आप ChatGPT से भी करो,
करो,
but
but like,
thought
make it
होनी चाहिए,
authentic.
thought
Yeah,
आपकी होनी चाहिए.
exactly. The entire tweet
Because
was like
people connect with
ChatGPT
you,
generated. Yeah,
not
right.
the text.
Exactly.
It's you. And even I think I posted a thread like a few months before talking about Fueled and what we do. And I didn't generate it with ChatGPT. I wrote it on my own.
Yeah.
And someone commented, this is what I like about you, that you
Yeah, go.
that you write it yourself. And I was like, how could you tell? Like, I could have generated it with ChatGPT as
Yeah,
well. But
yeah.
it's the audience that they connect with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people don't want to listen to theoretical knowledge, right? Theoretical knowledge is too much out there.
Right.
People want to listen to opinions that are actually very personal.
Right.
Well, अगर आप देखोगे भी, whatever is happening, the kind of content creators you follow, they can obviously have researchers who are sitting out there, but that final extra touch हमेशा वो creator का ही होता है.
Right. Right.
That's how standardization happens.
Yeah. So do you also do that? Do you have ghostwriters or...
No, मैं इतना बनाता ही नहीं content.
I've seen you really active on Twitter. So...
I actually in the middle had, but then I realized that's not working because खुद पढ़ के लगता है क्या है.
What made you hire a ghostwriter? Did you?
They only reach out.
Oh wow.
If you check my inbox, हर दिन 8-9 ghostwriters के message आए होते हैं. आजकल everyone has become a ghostwriter.
Right.
How do you? They have this thing in their tagline. How do you elevate your personal brand or some bullshit like that? So कोई ना कोई reach out करता ही रहता है. And कभी कुछ लोगों से बात भी हो जाती है. So when you talk to them, they will pitch you something. अरे आपके तो follower बहुत कम है. You can have more followers. मैंने इसका किया है, मैंने
Not
इसका
like
किया
you care.
है. No, everyone cares.
But like, yeah, I mean,
Obviously, I'm not losing my sleep over it. But would I mind more followers? No.
no,
Right?
not at all. Yeah.
So then you feel कि एक दो जगह you try it, but then you realize कि that's not the solution.
Right.
I've seen. So what ghostwriters usually do is that they put the same formula everywhere and hope for it to work, which it mostly doesn't.
But they actually earn quite a lot. Like I
Yeah,
know
they
this one
do.
ghostwriter.
Because now everybody wants to...
Yeah,
build
who
their
charges
personal
2
brand.
lakh for this one account.
कौन है भाई ghostwriter?
I'll tell you. Okay, cut कर देना श्वेता कुकरेजा करके हैं.
Oh my god, I know.
Yeah,
Lakhs per account.
2 lakhs per account.
I have no idea. Is it
Actually,
that
you can
good?
put it in.
Put it in that
Yeah, no, it's like
2 lakh रुपए.
हाँ,
Wow.
2 lakhs. I mean, she has made it public, so yeah.
Nice.
For like one personal brand account, I mean, it's just insane to me.
But अभी क्या हो गया है कि in the last 3-4 months, algorithms have really gone up and down.
Right,
So any ghostwriter is not working.
right. I so
You
agree,
should-
especially on
That is
Twitter.
true. I have seen that happening. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially on Twitter.
Twitter,
You do
ever
like-
since Elon
you
took
like
over.
you write one line and then you put spaces and then you...
Right.
It used to work earlier. Right now,
But it doesn't
it's
work.
not.
Formulas are not working anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Raghav, now I want to talk about leadership. So I think you are 23.
Yeah.
And at this
I'm turning 24 on 1st Jan.
Oh wow.
Okay. But right now you're 23.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time this episode is out, you're 24. That's still very young. And you're the co-founder of 2 companies at the moment. So how do you approach leadership at such a young age? Because leadership is very tricky. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So what do you do to become a better leader?
I think I look in the mirror, right? So I again cannot give a generic answer on it, but I'll tell you what I do. Ki what kind of boss or what kind of leader would I follow? That's the simple way, right? And then you start introspecting, over-analyzing yourself, being your biggest critic, and constantly you see that the things that you are doing, you can do many things better, and you try to do them one step at a time. हर बार होती नहीं है. So in your head you are very grounded because you know that you would have wanted a better boss, if that makes sense. So आपको पता होता है कि यार नहीं ये गलत है. This could have been better. You know, this thing was done in just like that without more proper analysis. और मैंने ज़्यादा गुस्सा कर दिया. It should not have been the case.
How do you maintain parity between being the fun one and being the strict one?
It's my personality.
Okay.
कि about work, I enjoy work, but I'm so passionate about it कि वो मैं I change it like that. मतलब it will happen without people realizing. So 1 second I can be very aggressive, very angry about work, and the next 10 seconds I am very fun and joking around. Because for me, work is bigger than everything else. So that's how it is.
It's constant introspection about what you're doing, what's working, what's not,
Yeah.
and by what intention you're doing that.
Yeah.
Right, got it. Interesting. I want to jump on to Futurense now.
Sure.
How did you come up with this model and when did you start building it?
Sure.
Can you explain the model first
Okay.
for someone who doesn't have the context?
Yeah.
So Futurense as a whole is meant to solve for the engineers of this country that are facing certain specific problems that have never been solved. The first problem we saw was people in India don't have money to pay lakhs of rupees to an EdTech company to upskill. बहुत कम लोगों के पास पैसा है, right? Now, what we realized was that more than a skill gap, it's a financial gap. Real talent does not have the investment to pay for upskilling. Whereas there are a lot of companies, international companies, that are willing to pay very high salaries for specific technical roles. तो demand and supply में gap था. So we realized कि ऐसा model बनाते हैं where we don't charge the people, like charge the students for upskilling them, at the same time give them money, give them salaries so that we can compensate for their opportunity cost. Because अगर कोई individual अपनी job छोड़ के हमारे पास upskill करेगा, they will still have bills to pay, they will have EMIs to pay. So we have to create a model where we upskill them for free, at the same time pay them salaries. So how do we make money? We make money through the companies. Because companies need those people who are not available in the market, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's how we created the first model, which was about zero cost upskilling. The second or third problem that we are solving is that in India, a lot of people want to go abroad, want to build a career in the US.
Right.
But what has happened is that earlier there was this thing called on-site jobs, which companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, they used to send people for. But last kuch saalon mein, because of pressure on margins, these companies have reduced the number of people they're sending abroad. And what that meant was that masters was the only legal way for a person to go abroad and build a career. आपने भी देखा होगा आपके friends कर रहे हैं.
Yeah.
Now, masters had a lot of challenges. Challenge number one, very expensive. Challenge number two, duration was too long. Challenge number three, any good university required tons of exams and very good scores. So we created India's first dual coursework, where a portion, that is 30% of your coursework, happens in India with IITs or IIMs, and the remaining 70% happens in the US on campus in that university. Now what that does is, it reduces the overall duration from 24 months to 12 months. It reduces the overall cost by roughly 50%. And because IITs are sort of clearing you up, these top US universities are not asking for GMAT, GRE, IELTS, TOEFL. So that is the Futurense US pathway where we have created a new kind of masters that did not exist before. And the third problem we saw was that आपके friends भी होंगे जो engineering में होंगे जिन्होंने IIT के लिए बैठे होंगे, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
और उसमें बहुत कम का हुआ होगा IIT. So what that tells us is that हर साल 10 लाख लोग बैठ रहे हैं and only 10-12 हज़ार लोगों का हो रहा है.
Yeah.
So in the Indian social fabric, right, IIT is a very big thing. It's a very big aspiration. At that time, when that individual was 18, he or she, for some reason, did not crack IIT. They did not work hard. They were kiddish, whatever. Now they're 25. Now they realize the importance of hard work. They want another chance at being an IITian. We are trying to give that chance, where we have launched India's only academic IIT programs that are online. There are no online academic programs from IITs unless it is Futurense.
Yeah.
So
I've never seen someone talk about this problem that at the age when you're supposed to take JEE, which is like 17, 18,
Yeah,
19, people, then
Yeah.
you're a child at that time, you don't
Yeah.
know what to do.
Yeah.
And I've been at this position, like, and there are people who don't have the right career guidance. So for them, it's even tougher.
right.
So
Right.
that is, I've never heard anybody talk about it or
Yeah.
solve about
It's a
this
big problem.
problem. Yeah, it is. And by the time you have some sense, you realize, okay, that
You have
it's
Futurense.
too late.
Yes.
Yeah, but now you have Futurense.
Yeah. But what I'm really interested in knowing is the revenue model of Futurense. I didn't understand. Like the companies pay you once they hire.
तो हमारे 3 different models हैं.
Yeah.
Model number 1 is zero cost upskilling. Model number 2 is US pathway, masters. Model number 3 is IIT degrees. So model number 2 and model number 3 is like an education EdTech company where you make money with the universities. So that is separate.
Yeah.
Model number 1,
One.
that is zero cost upskilling. What happens is that these companies are, let's say, willing to pay 100 rupees for a particular job. अब मार्केट में लोग काम कर रहे हैं who are currently earning 25 rupees. We go to these people, we say हम आपको आप में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, हम आपको फ्री में अपस्किल करेंगे, एट द सेम टाइम सैलरी देंगे. जब आपकी अपस्किलिंग हो जाएगी हम 25 रुपए के 50 या 60 रुपए कर देंगे और कंपनीज को बोलेंगे इनकी सैलरी हमें दे दो. तो कंपनीज हमें 100 देंगी, हम उस इंडिविजुअल को 60 देंगे.
Throughout the time that they're working?
12 महीने के. 12
12
Yeah, I think there's one more startup which does the same thing called Pesto Tech.
No, they don't do that. So what
They
they
don't?
they are a staffing. They're into staffing.
Okay.
So उनका मॉडल क्या है कि पहली बात they don't upskill anyone for free.
Yeah.
They
right.
charge for that.
Yeah.
Secondly, they don't pay people salaries while they're upskilling. We are actually paying salaries while
Which
upskilling.
is actually quite interesting.
Yeah. So in Pesto का model भी I think they have pivoted the model. Now it's become a marketplace of jobs, as far as I know.
So for 12 months, you get certain amount from the company.
हाँ, we get. And then 12 महीने के बाद whatever the company was paying us, they will pay that individual and we are out of the picture.
Okay, perfect. So that's how you make money. And through the US pathway.
It's just a dual coursework we have created with 18 universities in the US and IITs and IIMs in India. So with these universities, we have a structuring that we make money on that. And plus, if we get these guys jobs in the US, the employers in the US pay us their first month's salary or something like that as revenue.
Okay, interesting.
How exactly did you come up with this model? Like, is it because this TGM is like a lot, or is it because of a personal problem that you faced?
मेरे को तो नहीं हुई idea problem, but I think I was interning in a private equity bank, mainly an investment bank, and at that time my job was to raise money
Yeah.
for a new fund that they were creating. While raising money for that fund, I used to talk to CEOs of big companies. And जब उन लोगों से बात की तो समझ आया कि they all need the right techies in specific roles which are not available, which did not make sense to me because India में इतने सारे techies हैं, कुछ गड़बड़ है. So सोचा कि कोई स्किलिंग कंपनी खोलते हैं, बट देन थोड़ी रिसर्च की पता लगा बहुत सारी स्किलिंग कंपनीज हैं इंडिया में, तो कोई ऐसा मॉडल बनाना पड़ेगा जो अभी तक बना ना हो. सो फ्लिप कर दिया मॉडल हमने कि हम पैसे लेंगे नहीं, हम आपको देंगे. If that makes sense.
I think it's the best way to lure Indians, especially.
India has a very risk averse population.
Yeah.
Right? Indians को आप बोल दो कि आपके पास एक ऑप्शन है 100 रुपए बनाने का, एक ऑप्शन है गारंटीड 40 रुपए बनाने का, वो गारंटीड 40 ही लेंगे.
Right.
So I tell some people, if you are very confident in your own ability, you don't need any score. Just you go on YouTube and learn.
Right. That's one of the major reasons why a lot of Indians prefer to invest in FDs or mutual funds instead of stocks.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah, but it's changing. Why a 1% club?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's crossover both.
But I love the interconnectivity. Like, the way he introduced Futurense and then 1% club, he was like, okay, Futurense में आपको ऐसा कमाओ and then 1% club में आके invest.
कुछ हद तक सोच वैसी है.
Yeah.
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 And it's also a good pathway, right? Got it.
Are you planning on merging both the startups?
No, you cannot merge. There are cap tables are different, people involved are
Right.
different, and the business models are very different.
Right.
Obviously, you use the synergies
Yeah.
because the promoters are the same, so you can obviously use the synergies. But the different models, different games
How big is Futurense as of now?
in terms of.
In terms of like how many people do you upscale at once?
So every year,
Fly them down to
every
Bangalore,
year
right?
total, including all our models, we're upskilling close to 4,800, 5,000 people.
Okay.
Right now, it will
And-
increase.
So it's cohort based thing, right? So how long is one?
2 महीने का, 2 से 3 महीने का, कभी कभी लंबा भी चलता है, but it's mainly 2.
Okay, so you can manage to do 5-6 cohorts a year.
We do more than that. We do every month there's a code happening, and then we have other models also where we're teaching people.
Right.
So total we train about 5,000, 6,000 people every year.
Okay, that's a lot of people. Raghav, when I was researching about you, I also found out that your grandfather wrote RapidX, and I related to that because I've seen RapidX just lying around in my home.
Really?
Yeah, really. And it was, I think, the Lullantop interview where I found
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen like my parents read through it once in a while because English
Yeah.
was not their first language.
Yeah.
Even I've flipped through the pages.
Sure.
So it's been there at my house.
Yeah.
So has your grandfather been an important figure in how you approach work?
I think my grandfather and my father both, they have played a very pivotal role in me understanding on how businesses work. And the reason is very simple. Since I was like 8, 9, all I heard in my house was business talks about work, about business, about dynamics. So from my grandfather, I will not say that I learned business per se. I learned mostly about holistic human being. How do you be a holistic human being? He reads Krishnamurti a lot. So उनकी बातें बहुत मतलब evolved है. And he's way beyond money. He doesn't care about money. And my father say I learned more about he told me this quote when I was I think 13, and I've never forgotten that quote. That devil is in the detail. Like मेरे केबिन में भी लिखा हुआ है devil is in the detail. कि आप जो भी काम कर रहे हो आपको घुस के करना पड़ेगा. ऊपर से कोई काम मत करो. So I think my grandfather gave me that holistic thought process, and my father gave me that more intrinsic business strategy kind of thought process, which they never taught to me. It was just I was observing them for a very long time. Where if I meet people now, some people say I talk like my father, some people say I talk like my grandfather, some people say I talk like both. So I think it's a you get inspired from them.
Environment at home, right? Yeah. And you mentioned that your grandfather is just a holistic person.
Yeah.
And if you get that from him, then that makes you a good leader.
Yeah. Who are you? What I'm trying to.
Because I think if you are a holistic person, and you just become a good leader, you can't fake that, right?
We can't know when you. But on the path,
that's
on
the
path.
humility.
On the path.
Yeah. So you have been in the hiring space for quite a while now.
Yeah.
You're building Futurense, which is basically solving for the talent acquisition in the hiring industry. What I want to know is what are the trends that you see currently in the hiring market, and what is something that you think a candidate could generally improve upon?
I think one thing that is becoming very clear is that specialization is all that is mattering.
Right.
They don't want generic skills.
Is it?
No.
I think it's quite the opposite, because a lot of startups now hire generalists over person with a specific skill.
Startups are a very small bucket of the overall hiring market.
Right.
Yeah, that's
If you realize, right? You're not wrong, but बहुत छोटी bucket है. अब आप लोग अपने context में सोच रहे होगे ऐसा. But that is not India, right? India is most engineers and all of those accountants and all of those people. So वहाँ पे तो specialization is what we are seeing is getting deeper. At the same time, I keep telling this to people: the way you communicate, the way you talk, that is what really, really matters right now. Because everything else can be done, every information is out there. But आप कैसे present कर रहे हो? आप कैसा narrative बना रहे हो? Are you able to connect? I think that is what really matters right now.
So soft skills.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to talk more about the importance of soft skills? Because you have been in the hiring space, I'm sure you've hired people. So how do you differentiate between candidates? Let's say somebody who's really good at their skill, but isn't as good as, doesn't have as good soft skills, whereas someone else who's really good at presenting themselves, connecting with other people, is good at teamwork, but maybe not as good at their skill. So
I think it's a combination of two things. One is your confidence, and the second is your listening ability. So most people you talk to in interviews, they are just blabbering and are not even hearing the question and just are trying to say कि मैं पढ़ के आया हूँ तो मैं आपको बता दूँ ये. ज़्यादातर लोग ऐसे होते हैं, right? They are उनको 8-9 चीज़ें पता है, and in their heads they have sort of created a narrative कि कुछ भी question है मुझे 8 चीज़ों का जवाब बताना है कि मुझे पता है. वो आप पता लग जाता है आपको. Like you talk to a person, it's very easy. यार ये तो एक script पढ़ के आए हैं and they want to tell you these 8 things that they know. And the second is obviously your body language, your confidence, आप कैसे आँख में आँख देख के बात कर रहे हो, all of those things.
Right. I think we need to talk more about your educational background, because you are just 24 and
23 अभी बता.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
23.
Came as a shocker to me.
Yes. So did you go to college? Because
Yeah, I did.
you did?
So I started my business while I was in college. And the good thing was that when I was starting my business, the pandemic happened. So even though I was in college, I came back to India. I was studying at Emory University in Atlanta. So उसकी वजह से I kept traveling back and forth. And my mom was very insistent on me completing my degree.
All moms.
Like all moms. And her logic was there was no logic in a simple way. It was just करनी है. And then you also after a point don't argue too much.
Right.
Yeah, कर लेते हैं क्या हो.
Okay. So then you finished that.
Yeah.
And you started working around COVID. So when did Futurense start?
They started around March, April 2020. COVID.
Did COVID impact
because of COVID it got started, वरना start नहीं होता. Because of COVID what happened was कि एकदम से tech professionals की need बढ़ गई in data analytics. It was not in the market because a lot of American work started coming to India. And while that started happening, India के अंदर talent in those industries like data engineering was not there. That's why some people took a bet on us. But otherwise we would not have started. Why would someone have said कि तुम कौन हो, तुम्हें क्या पता इस बार? There were much bigger players who were in the talent space. So because the need was so big, and उसमें ये था कि तुम भी try कर लो, क्या हो जाएगा? What is the problem? So my first client, that's what they told me, तुम भी try कर लो. There's no harm. And हमने try कर लिया, कुछ चल गया, कुछ नहीं चला. That's how it works.
how did you scale it from 0 to 1, Futurense?
I think it's just a combination of hiring. It's like just a combination of hiring and meeting the right people. So you keep hiring, you keep meeting right people, you keep hiring, you keep meeting right people. It's a combination of that. Because चिल लोगों से, नए लोगों से आप मिल रहे हो, उनसे आपका दिमाग बड़ा, आपकी सोच बड़ी हो रही है. पैरेलली वो सोच हो गई है तो उसको एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए लोग चाहिए. फिर अगेन आप, it's like a combination, right? Like, keep going.
That kept happening and
I meet a lot of people.
How many people do you have in your team currently?
We have around 300 people.
300 people in just Futurense.
Yes, and around 60 and 1%.
So 1% is comparatively new right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to dive deep into the EdTech industry now. We all know the story of Physics Wala and how lately the EdTech industry has been booming up. What I want to know, yeah,
उल्टी बात सुन रहा हूँ आजकल.
no, I mean, yeah,
like,
downfall aa gaya because it has become saturated lately. But what I want to know is it safe for a 20 to 25-year-old builder to dive into EdTech? And
is it saturated?
yeah, I think
do you
it is now because of the Byju's downfall and stuff like that. But yeah.
I think again it's a very generic question. I cannot give you an answer for that. It depends on what are you exactly doing in EdTech.
Yeah.
The good thing about the EdTech industry is that the barriers to entry are very low. So it's very easy to start up in EdTech industry. अगर आपको कल को कोर्स लॉन्च करना है, आप दोनों लॉन्च कर लोगे. It will take you a day or 2 days to do it. So that is the good part. That's why you see a lot of startups in the EdTech. Where they go wrong is the outcomes.
Right.
कि what are you trying to, why is someone buying it from you? That outcome piece is something which is tough to scale. So what I have seen with good entrepreneurs is in the EdTech industry, they have not tried to scale their EdTech products very fast. They have tried to focus more on the outcomes. And once the outcomes are more structured, more framework oriented, then they scale.
What outcome are you talking about exactly?
Job दिलानी है, career में growth करनी है, soft skills better. I don't know, whatever it is, right? कोई आपसे कोर्स ले रहा है, किस लिए ले रहा है? कुछ तो सोच के ले रहा होगा ना कि मेरी लाइफ में ये चीज़ चेंज होगी. So वो चीज़ एक्चुअली चेंज होनी चाहिए. It should not just be a marketing gimmick.
But you said it's easy to start up, but like how do you scale in such a market? Because if it's easy to, if the
बड़ा सिंपल है. आपको अगर आज की EdTech क्या है? It's a tuition center. Zoom पे कोई भी लाइव भी में आपके भी Zoom का लाइसेंस होगा. आपके पास भी होगा, right? So you can also open a EdTech. There is no tech on it. Tech is Zoom. That is the entire tech that is being used in any of these companies, right? So tuition teacher तो पहले भी होते थे. आपके भी हुए होंगे जब आप स्कूल में होंगे. I'm assuming. तो वो भी उनका भी छोटा मोटा काम चल ही रहा था. 10-20 बच्चों को पढ़ाते थे. सो 10-20-30 लोगों को सब लोग स्टार्ट कर लेते हैं. तो स्केल तब आता है जब आप अपने अंडर और लोग हायर करते जाते हो जो आपका पर्सनल काम कम करते जाते हैं. एंड देन यू कीप एडिंग मोर एंड मोर थिंग्स. तो उसके अंदर वही ना कि आउटकम्स अगर आपने फिगर आउट कर लिए, ब्रांड बनने लग गया, एक ट्रस्ट है कि अगर पूजा मुझे कुछ पढ़ा रही है तो आई एम वेरी श्योर कि मेरे को आउटकम आ जाएगा. देन आई विल कीप सेंडिंग माई चाइल्ड और रेफर माई फ्रेंड्स. It's a cycle.
And you build that trust through distribution, and then that's where social media comes in?
No, that trust is not built through distribution. Uske through you get your first clients.
Right.
Distribution gets you
How do you build that trust?
through getting them the job or getting them the outcome. Na?
Why
आपकी
do you
पढ़ाई
think
कैसे?
a lot of EdTech startups are facing their downfall nowadays?
Yeah, it's very simple. No? They are not EdTech startups. They are all marketing startups. They were built around marketing.
I have a name in my mind, but I won't say.
हाँ, वो सारे नेम वही है. And you don't blame them, right? If you look at those entrepreneurs, they did what was right at that time. Money was available freely. Investors are in बड़े check काट रहे हैं and you don't need revenue. You are getting a premium for just being in the market. So I don't blame the entrepreneurs when the money was free. That's what they did. Now after obviously the COVID thing also, this whole online thing got relaxed a bit. People realize the power of physical education also. So people are back in physical centers. So I think अब नहीं होगा ये.
So it was booming mainly during the pandemic, and now, yeah, as you said,
Booming भी था, लोग घर पे थे क्या करें. और क्या हो रहा था उस टाइम पे जॉब्स भी बहुत क्रिएट हो रही थी. तो लोगों के पास ऑप्शन था कि मैं एक कोर्स करके मेरी एकदम सैलरी बढ़ जाएगी.
Especially in the IT industry.
Especially in the IT industry.
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people do this where if you have a certain distribution, you just launch your first course, make it paid.
वो तो सारे इन्फ्लुएंसर ही कर रहे हैं आजकल.
हाँ,
Tell me which influencer is not doing it.
Nana. Just kidding.
So, you are Nana.
Yeah. So Nana is an influencer, right?
Oh, I'm not.
How
not.
big are you?
Nana is a micro influencer at Twitter. Yeah, but
You are also an influencer. You have 10, 15,000 followers or something, right?
Yeah.
that's you don't become an influencer at 10.
How many do you need?
I think 100. No.
You have 100?
No, I have 19.7 thousand.
Still
Wow,
average.
you remember?
It's embarrassing that I'm so specific about it.
I also remember, but I didn't say it.
Nice.
I'm like open about it.
But Nana has built a connect with her audience. So it's
Yeah,
not like
I should post it.
19K just followers who won't engage.
तो अगर आप अभी डालोगे ट्विटर पे कि I'm in this place, तो लोग people will show up.
People will.
Yeah.
People have done.
Yeah.
But are they like some desperate boys or they're actually good audience?
No, so
That's a really good question.
that's a good question. I think sometimes deliberately I put up my pictures on Twitter to get some sort of. I'm like very blunt about
That
it. Like
is,
yeah, to get.
you go on LinkedIn, that's what is happening.
Yeah. Like हाँ मतलब to get some engagement.
Yeah.
जब मेरी engagement down जा रही होती है to get some elon bucks maybe.
Yeah.
But
Do you actually make money on Twitter? Like people don't really make money on Twitter.
People,
I mean not a lot of money, but yeah. No.
Like,
it could, yeah.
Wait, it's subjective. Like what sort of money are you?
I'm
talking
saying
about?
what Elon Musk is giving, like the
Oh,
Oh no,
this bullshit.
It's just a very small amount.
it's
It
a very
doesn't
very
matter.
small amount. Yeah.
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 I posted a picture last week, so it got some views. So I got like, I don't know, some dollars, and that's all.
I did a paid tweet for this one company, fintech company, and the tweet got like 31K likes and
Yes.
2 million views. I was expecting a huge amount out of the Twitter Blue subscription, and I got like 2,000 rupees. Yeah, for the 2 million views. So it's not a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying something. Yeah, so in September, I posted a picture out of Third Wave queue. I'm at Third Wave, Kormangla, 4th block. If anyone wants to show up, just come. So a lot of people did show up. I made a lot of friends.
Nice.
Yeah, but this one weird person show, I won't say a lot because my mom watches this video. But yeah, he was like kind of desperate. So I think you do find a lot of desperate people on Twitter, but then there's a good side of Twitter, which is
For sure. That happened when I think I was free on Tuesday when I asked, if anyone wants to meet, and just DMs were like not one interesting one.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Makes sense.
Have you had any influencer moment like ऐसे चलते चलते someone is stopping you? Are you Raghav Gupta?
Influencer moment नहीं, but like because of my work, not because of my
Yeah.
content. I'm very sure
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
थोड़े बहुत लोग, nothing substantial.
You're very down to earth, I think.
I'm being honest.
I had one at Rameshwaram cafe. I was like eating and this one person came up to me. He was like, "Are you Naina?" I was like, "Yeah, I follow you on Twitter, etc. etc."
Wow.
That
That's-
feels good. So
That feels good, but that also feels weird. So last year, on my birthday, I went to Noida, and the next day I got a DM from someone saying, "Oh, were you in Noida, the AA sector?"
oh my god.
Yeah, and that.
And I imagine when you have 100K, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, that was like scary as shit, dude.
Yeah.
No one ever walked up to me and said, I've seen you on Twitter. I've done that to people. Like, I've gone up to them and was like, yo, guy, follow you. But recently, when I was, this weekend, when I was at ETH India side events, because there were a lot of tech Web3 people, they were like, okay, we've seen you. And that felt good. I was like, okay, so
Nice.
it's just not the number. People are actually there.
Nice.
So that feels nice.
How did you create distribution for Futurense, by the way?
Right. So it was a combination of 2 or 3 things. First was obviously like getting out, like we realized 2 things very fast, right? One thing was that we cannot sell what we are doing. अगर आप ज़्यादा बोलोगे कि मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, हमसे ये ले लो, हमारे join कर लो, so बहुत मुश्किल है. People don't want to listen to it. You need to understand what does the psychology of your audience is, and in some form or the other, you need to become a media house. And media house shows what the audience wants to listen, not what the media house wants to show. if that makes sense. तो अगर आप हमारे इंस्टाग्राम भी देखोगे, हमारे को ज़्यादा फॉलोअर नहीं, 60 टोटल हमारे अराउंड 80-90 के फॉलोअर्स होंगे अक्रॉस आवर हैंडल्स. तो I think what we realized was कि meme related stuff that is more relevant to the TG, that obviously performed way better.
Right.
पहले हम खुद के बारे में बताते थे, ये हमारे आगे ये होता है, ये ऑफिस है हमारा, ये है वो है, बट उसमें बहुत कम ट्रैक्शन आती थी. बट बिकॉज हमने वो चीज़ दिखाई जो लोगों को सुननी थी, तो जब हम अपना बिजनेस का डालते हैं उस पर भी ट्रैक्शन आने लग गई.
Right. You show the audience what they want to see.
And then बीच में plug in what you want to.
Yeah, that's the best way to go about it.
And I think a lot of companies have realized that now, and they're doing the same.
Yeah, all the paid tweets I see are like basically memes.
Yeah, because memes sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your take on AI, Raghav? As someone who hires, as someone who is the founder of 2 companies, what do you think about AI?
I think if you're asking me about how will it impact the job market,
Yes.
so what I think is that as human beings, if you look at time, we've always tried to solve more complicated, more complex problems. So I think because the tools at our disposal, that is the computer that you're using, that will become smarter. As a human being, your job would be to solve more complicated problems. Now, let us assume that the computer that you're using becomes self-autonomous. AI इतनी स्मार्ट बन जाती है, उनको ह्यूमंस की जरूरत नहीं. Then I would believe in one thing, that is regulation. Because I believe that, let us say कि अगर गवर्नमेंट्स को लगता है कि जो उनकी मेन पॉपुलेशन है that will become unemployable, अगर हम लोग unemployable हो जाएंगे तो गवर्नमेंट खुद ही उसको रेगुलेट कर देगी, because we are the ones who vote for our government.
That is true.
So the worst case, regulation will kick in. But I don't think so उतनी जरूरत अभी इतनी देर है. There is a lot of time for it, and as human beings keep on evolving, we start solving more complicated problems. Now बीच के अंदर कुछ 2-3 साल casualties होंगी, layoffs होंगे, but long term में कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा.
Yeah, long term में फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, and you just have to keep adapting to whatever is being.
Yeah, right.
We do that, no?
Yeah.
That's how we have been made.
Yeah, it's just not limited to AI. It's like in general you have to do that.
Everything.
How
Everything.
often do you use AI tools?
I use them very often. I use
Tools.
ChatGPT very often.
Hmm.
And I think I almost use it like every day.
For what exactly?
Like drafting some emails, some contracts. Again, obviously send it to the lawyer. But before that also, आप अपनी side से भी structure करते हो. Sometimes to brainstorm also. Like कुछ दिमाग में idea आ रहे हैं.
Yeah, I do that a lot. Because let's say if I'm thinking about names of anything, like, I want to come up with a name, and I just like give it the concept, like just give me 20 names. And of course, I won't pick anything. It will, the ChatGPT will give me, but I can like get started with brainstorming.
More and more you use ChatGPT, you realize what it is.
Yeah.
It is not just like just saying ki write me a caption for this. It's not that.
It entirely depends on the prompt.
And prompts have to be multi-layered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I've realized.
Yeah. There was this guide about how to prompt that was very nice. That you have to give it the identity, and you have to define characteristics of that identity.
And the expressions, everything. It's very, it's very
just
scientific.
go into detail.
So I have this cheat sheet on my phone. It's on my favorites, which has like 60 hacks while writing the prompts. Whenever I'm writing a prompt, I just open that up, and it tells me, ye bhi dalo, ye bhi karo, ye bhi karo.
Share that with us.
Yeah, definitely. It's superb.
Okay, you use that.
I always use it. It's on my favorites in my gallery. So yeah.
Got it. Also, you somewhere mentioned that India is looked at the back office, but you want to make it the front office of the world. What does that mean? And how are you achieving that?
Sure. So if you look at the kind of work that happens in companies around us, big IT companies, that's basically a modern day factory worker. It's like, it is meaningless. It is very mechanical.
Right. Also very monotonous.
Very monotonous, mechanical in nature. And it happens mainly in India because of a cost advantage. Companies find it cheaper to get that job done in India. Now, with time, what we are realizing is that India has the potential to not just be a cost-wise attractive place, but also be an attractive place in terms of innovation, in terms of R&D. So what I believe is that right now, India is the world's best back office. And one major reason behind that is that the talent of this country, because of this vicious cycle of low income families they come from, वो कॉलेज से ग्रेजुएट होते हैं और जो मास हायरिंग करती है कंपनी उसमें चले जाते हैं और वो एक साइकिल में घूमते रहते हैं. एंड दिस इट इज नॉट इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ दैट बिग IT कंपनी to upskill this person into becoming a front-end worker. Because अगर वो बन जाएगा तो फिर कौन काम करेगा back-end?
In fact, the episode that we shot before that, we talked about this. Now, you do remember that it's in the interest of the companies, because some companies do this, that they don't, even colleges, they don't expose the students to latest tech.
वो नहीं करेंगे.
They let them code into
वो नहीं करेंगे.
languages which are not prominent.
We talked about this with Nikita. कि MBA is maybe 15 साल पुरानी studies, they make a study.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we do is we realize that these people, because now they are stuck in this vicious cycle of low income, they will never get out of it. So हमारा zero cost upskilling का जो initiative है, where we upskill them for free while paying them salaries, we are trying to sort of give them a chance to truly become what their potential is. So that's a thought. And again, we are not the only ones. There are a lot of other companies in this country who are trying to build innovative, research-oriented, in R&D-oriented stuff in India. And I think long term, you will see that India will become the world's best front office.
What's the package that these people usually get after upskilling?
Before upskilling, they're usually earning between 4 and 6 lakhs. Post upskilling, anywhere between 12 and 25 lakhs.
That's a good jump within 2-3 months. That's amazing.
Yeah. Also, at what point at Futurense did you realize that, oh, you did break the monotonous and the vicious cycle?
अभी भी हमने break नहीं किया because we are too small.
Like
If
somehow, like
in the
some
grander
way.
scheme of things, we are irrelevant. if that
Right,
makes sense.
right.
So अभी बिल्कुल break तो हमने नहीं किया, but I think जब हमारे 1-2 cohorts graduate होने लग गए, उनको job मिल गई, उनकी life बदल गई, they started coming and appreciating it, we realized that there is something out there. If that makes sense.
I like how you said that in grander scheme of things, it's nothing.
Yeah.
That some founders, they're usually, they think that this product is the whole world.
Yeah.
It's going to solve this. It's going
No, it's good to be delusional, which we are. We all like to think of ourselves as if we are trying to solve some very big thing, because that keeps us motivated. We all should. But one day in a week, you should also introspect. What are you exactly doing?
I mean, that can look different for different people, right? Because I usually struggle with thinking like, I go on the extreme. I think like whatever I'm doing, like it's in the grander scheme of things, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I go to that direction. So it's difficult to bring myself back to, okay, no, like whatever you're doing, even if it impacts one person positively, that's enough.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a journey.
It's, you figure out your way how to go about it.
Spectrum, yeah. How many students do you have in one particular cohort at Futurense?
Depends. Anywhere between 20 to 100.
Do you have any limitation or number? Or?
The physical
That's a
cohorts,
huge range, 2200.
physical cohorts में तो हम 25, 30, 40 maximum. Online cohorts हम फिर बड़े भी करते हैं, 250-300 लोग भी करते हैं.
And how many instructors do you have?
Total our team is about 65, 70 people.
The instructors also come and teach offline at Bangalore.
Yeah. Bangalore में भी, Hyderabad में भी, Chennai में भी, Pune में भी, Delhi में भी.
Okay, I thought it was limited to Bangalore.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We're just running a new cohort in Hyderabad, in Pune, in Delhi. चल रहा है cohort.
Before concluding this podcast, one thing I want to ask you is, what is this one advice that you wish to give to your younger self, which might help every youth out there?
Learn coding.
Oh, wow, great, very straight.
Okay, did you?
No.
Okay, no.
Why so?
I was never in the sciences, never in computer science. I was always a commerce kind of person. Now I realize that not that learning coding would have changed anything, but your mind frame becomes way more mathematical, way more logical. And when I look at engineers, when I look at people who are in the coding domain, I believe the future is much brighter for them. I will always be at the mercy of them. And again, it's not about the ability to code on a particular language. So prompting ke through, you don't need to know coding, but logic.
Logic.
That how the engineering flows. I think that is something which I think I lack. If I knew that, it would have been better.
Right.
Amazing. Learn to code.
As a designer, I've been told a lot कि coding सीख ले, etc., etc.
But जब दिल से आनी चाहिए ना, वो बोल के कोई नहीं सिखाता.
हाँ, बोल के नहीं होता.
Maybe अब आ जाए, because like
नहीं, मेरे को अभी भी नहीं आएगी.
the way
अभी भी नहीं सीखता
the way you said it so bluntly, learn coding. I was like, oh my god,
Like,
do I
have
need
to do it now? Camera पे हो गया ये अब.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Raghav, for being here. Thank you so much for taking out time for this. We had an amazing time talking to you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this episode is going to be really insightful for people.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much.